obviously, because you don't have to keep it so cold and it's one shot. FEMA confirmed that only 9 of its mobile clinics were still operational during this last week with the pause. So is just how hard it is to get the Moderna and Pfizer shots in those mobile clinics part of the slowing rate of vaccinations that we're seeing?
I'm happy to check and see if that's a factor. What I understand the biggest factor is, though, is that we're now at a point where we have reached, just 2 weeks ago, only 43, it's still a significant percent of adults 2 weeks ago were vaccinated, had received their first dose. Now it's 52%. Just 2 weeks ago, only 66 million people had been fully vaccinated. Now it's over 90 million. So we're kind of getting to this point, as I think Jeff Zients touched on this morning, where we are entering a new phase where it is more challenging. We have less of a supply issue. We have more of it's incumbent upon us to reach people and meet them where they are. So that's the bigger challenge in terms of the numbers at this point in time. In terms of the difficulty, I think you're asking about Moderna and Pfizer and how that impacts getting into mobile units.
Yeah,
the temperature.
Mobile clinics weren't really set up to be doing Moderna shots.
I'll have to check with our COVID team on how they see that as an impact. And obviously, we are continuing to adjust the way and the means at which we're getting into communities. And, we make adjustments based on what we think is the most effective. Obviously, the massive increase in pharmacies is a reflection of that. Reduction in some of the vaccination sites. We also make evaluations by where it is most impactful to invest. And some of what we've been doing lately has been increasing our investment in community health centers, in primary care physicians, obviously in pharmacies, but I will check with our team and see if that's a factor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. With the president's first trip abroad in June, that's going to be the first time a president has actually traveled internationally since the start of the pandemic, and I'm wondering if by the time he leaves to go on that trip in June, is he going to lift travel restrictions to Europe as well?
I can't make a prediction of that. That is based on the health and recommendations, the advice and recommendations of our health and medical team, and I don't have anything to predict on that front.
Have there been conversations about that, given he is going to be traveling internationally, about whether it can be a period where everyday Americans also start resuming that kind of a travel?
Well, I would say I think most Americans would see it as slightly different from the President of the United States. I'm not suggesting you're saying otherwise, but as the President of the United States making a diplomatic trip, abiding by COVID protocols and flying on Air Force One, then whether it is safe for mass numbers to fly internationally. Obviously, everybody wants that to be reopened. Europeans, we do, American people who would like to travel, but those conversations are really happening between health and medical experts, and they make an evaluation based on what they think is safe for the American public.
Okay, thank you. And on climate, there have been a lot